Marie Curie, the woman who changed science. Marie Curie, a name known around the world, was more than just a brilliant scientist. She was a pioneer who broke barriers of gender and knowledge. Born in 1867, she faced unimaginable difficulties, from poverty to a society that refused to educate women. However, her relentless passion for science drove her to achieve something no person, man or woman, had done before. Winning 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields. Her discovery of radioactivity and the elements polonium and radium did not just earn her fame, they completely transformed the fields of physics, chemistry, and medicine forever. Her life is a powerful story of dedication, sacrifice, and the belief that knowledge should be shared for the good of all humanity. Early life and the thirst for knowledge. Marie Curie was born Marie Skłodowska in Warsaw, Poland. At that time, Poland was under Russian rule, and the family faced political hardship and economic struggle. Her father, the Ladislaw, was a respected teacher of physics and mathematics, and her mother, Bronislawa, was a headmistress of a girls' school. Therefore, Maria grew up in a home that deeply valued education and patriotism. Sadly, Marie's childhood was marked by tragedy. She lost her mother to tuberculosis when she was only 10 years old, a loss that greatly affected the young girl. Despite this grief, Marie excelled in school. She had an extraordinary memory and a fierce work ethic, always ranking first in her class. She was a true intellectual, often found reading books borrowed from her father's collection, which included scientific instruments he could no longer use in the Russian-controlled schools. However, there was a major problem: the main university in Warsaw did not accept women. This was a common obstacle for talented girls across Europe during the late 19th century. Marie and her older sister, Bronislawa, dreamed of studying abroad, but they did not have the money. Consequently, the sisters made a famous agreement: Marie would work for several years as a governess, a private tutor, to fund Bronislawa's medical studies in Paris. Once Bronislawa graduated, she would help Marie do the same. This was a huge sacrifice of 6 years of her youth, but Marie was determined to keep her promise and her dream alive. Education and the move to Paris. For 6 years, Marie worked hard, teaching children and saving every possible penny. She continued her self-education, reading books on physics, sociology, and mathematics whenever she had a moment of free time. Finally, in 1891, at the age of 24, Marie had saved enough money, and it was her turn. She moved to Paris, France, and enrolled at the Sorbonne University to pursue her passion for science. In Paris, Maria changed her name to the French Marie. Her life as a student was difficult. She lived in a small, cold attic room and often had very little money for food or heating. She was so focused on her studies that she sometimes became weak from hunger. Nevertheless, she loved the intellectual freedom of the Sorbonne. She spent long hours in the libraries and laboratories. Her hard work paid off. In 1893, she earned her master's degree in physics, and only a year later, she earned a second degree in chemistry. It was during this time that she began looking for laboratory space to conduct her first research project, a study on the magnetic properties of various steels. In 1894, she met Marie Curie, a brilliant French physicist who was 12 years older than her and was the laboratory chief at the School of Physics and Chemistry. Their shared passion for science quickly grew into something much deeper. Partnership and major discoveries. Marie and Pierre found that they shared a rare connection, a deep, quiet devotion to science and to each other. They married in 1895 in a simple ceremony, marking the start of one of the most productive and loving partnerships in scientific history. They even used their wedding money to buy 2 bicycles and spent their honeymoon cycling through the French countryside. After her marriage, Marie began searching for a topic for her doctoral thesis. This was a crucial moment. She decided to investigate a new kind of energy recently discovered by the German scientist Wilhelm Röntgen, and the mysterious rays emitted by uranium, which had been observed by Henri Becquerel. However, unlike Becquerel, Marie realized these rays were not dependent on outside energy, they were coming directly from the atoms inside the uranium itself. She called this phenomenon radioactivity. Working in a poorly equipped and damp shed, Marie and Pierre began the arduous task of analyzing a mineral called pitchblende, which contained uranium. They suspected that the pitchblende contained new, unknown elements because its radioactivity was far greater than pure uranium. The work was incredibly difficult. They had to crush, dissolve, and purify tons of the material. After years of intense, tireless labor, they made their breakthrough. In 1898, they successfully isolated 2 new, highly radioactive elements. Marie named the first element polonium, after her native country, Poland. She named the second element radium, from the Latin word for ray. These discoveries revolutionized science, completely changing the understanding of the atom and energy. Therefore, in 1903, Marie and Pierre Curie, along with Henri Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. Marie Curie became the first woman ever to win a Nobel Prize. Personal life and balancing act. The Curie's life was marked by a constant balance between their groundbreaking scientific work and their growing family. They welcomed their first daughter, Irene, in 1897, and their second daughter, Eve, in 1904. Despite their fame and the demands of their research, Marie was a dedicated mother. She made sure her children were raised in a loving and intellectually stimulating environment. She and Pierre never sought wealth from their discoveries. They famously refused to patent the process for isolating radium, believing that the knowledge and the element itself should be freely available for the scientific community and for medical use. They considered their work to be a gift to humanity. Consequently, they remained relatively poor, even as radium was being sold at very high prices for therapeutic use around the world. Their love was rooted in their shared moral compass and their mutual passion for uncovering the secrets of the universe. Tragically, in 1906, Pierre Curie was killed in a street accident. He was hit by a horse-drawn carriage on a rainy Paris street. Marie was devastated by the sudden loss of her partner, both in life and in science. However, she chose to honor his memory by continuing their work. She took over Pierre's teaching position at the Sorbonne, becoming the first woman professor in the university's history. Later years and inspiring legacy. Marie continued her research, focusing on the careful study of radium and its atomic properties. Her commitment never wavered, even as the scientific community initially dismissed her work after Pierre's death. In 1911, her solitary hard work resulted in her being awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for her discovery of radium and polonium, and her successful isolation of pure radium. This made her the first person, and still the only woman, to win the Nobel Prize twice, and in 2 different sciences. When World War I began in 1914, Marie Curie decided to use her knowledge to help the war effort. She recognized that X-rays could save the lives of wounded soldiers by quickly locating bullets and shrapnel. Therefore, she invented and organized mobile X-ray units, which the soldiers quickly named Petites Curies, Little Curies. She trained women to operate the equipment and drove the vehicles herself to the front lines. This initiative is estimated to have helped over 1 million wounded soldiers. Sadly, her dedication came at a high personal cost. She worked directly with highly radioactive materials for decades, often carrying samples in her pockets or keeping them next to her bed. At the time, no one knew the dangers of radiation. As a result, Marie Curie suffered from radiation sickness throughout her later life, and she died in 1934 from a blood disease caused by this exposure. Her laboratory notebooks are still so radioactive that they are stored in lead-lined boxes. Conclusion: a torch for science. Marie Curie's life story is a profound example of dedication over adversity. She showed the world that science is not just for men, and that passion and hard work can overcome any social barrier. Her pioneering work laid the foundation for modern nuclear physics, cancer treatment, and diagnostic medicine. In addition, her insistence on sharing her knowledge for the benefit of all, rather than personal profit, stands as a testament to her ethical character. Ultimately, Marie Curie remains a timeless symbol of what a single, determined person can achieve. Her story is not just history, it is an inspiration to every student, especially every young woman, who dreams of exploring the unknown and making a profound difference in the world. She left us a legacy far more valuable than any element or prize, the powerful idea that we should be more curious about the world and never stop learning.
Thank you for challenging yourself to learn English with us. We hope Marie Curie's story inspired you to pursue your dreams relentlessly. Now, tell us in the comments who should be our next biography subject. Let us know. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories and advanced English lessons every day.